Now let's hear all. We shall ask ourselves a question. Who gave us the right to silence the voices of innocent Kashmiris? That's how government says. It always says that whether it was hanging of Afzal Guru or bringing some law to Kashmir, it always says that that's the need of the hour, that's what people of India demand. And people of India will mean you and I. I don't know whether you and I any time have given the government of India that debate. And that's what I'm saying, the line is between the dictatorship and the democracy are blurred in Kashmir. When I say they are blurred, what I mean actually is that there is this tiny elite group which actually dictates their terms without taking the rest of the country into confidence. Media fraternities in India speak the line of the government, which gives a wrong impression to the people of this country. Journalists across the Indian spectrum who reported in 2008 and 2010. Why I am giving these examples of 2008 and 2010 because 2008 marked a shift in the freedom struggle of Kashmir. It was an armed struggle from 1989 onwards till 2009. When I say it was an armed struggle, I don't mean that it's no more an armed struggle, but what I mean is that somehow Kashmiris like me and the people around here have changed their mindset. They think that the gun is not going to solve their problem, but they need to come to the streets and protest, register their protest in one form or the other form. And so this is, since 2008, it has become more of a civil movement than an armed movement. And we saw in 2008, in 2010, 2009 and 2011, hundreds of people were killed in these curfews because they call them that they are stone pelters. And stone pelter is now becoming something equivalent to a gunman in Kashmir actually. I was talking to one of my friends just an hour before. When I said him what's the current situation in Kashmir, he said that it's undeclared curfew. They say something section 144 CRPC, which says that 4 people are not allowed to assemble that place. But he says that no one is actually allowed to come out of their houses. And he said the instances of stone throwing have decreased over the last few days. And I said, why? He said, because the government are arresting all those people which they find somehow that they can throw a stone in the nocturnal raids. And these reports are not coming out in media. In 2008, in 2009, in 2010 and 11 and subsequently, I mean in 2012 and 13 now, government has been propagating this propaganda of what they first said that these stone pelters are funded by the governments across the border. Then the argument was so weak, people could not buy it actually, they could not sell it to the people of this country. Then they started that these stone throwers are goons. And the third thing, what they interestingly said was that these stone throwers are on drugs. I mean, and you can imagine if someone is on drugs, will he be in a position to throw a stone on an army vehicle? And this stone throwing, when I said that it's somehow the stone thrower has taken the shape of an armed militant in Jammu and Kashmir. When I say this, I mean what I mean is that you throw a stone and you will be hit back by a blood in Jammu and Kashmir. And that's the equation over the last 3 years. Now let's ask ourselves a question: can the entire population be on drugs? Can the entire population be goons? And can the entire population be funded by Pakistan or Lashkar-e-Taiba or some other organization for independence or whatever they say? And I say that this media is a disgrace to the entire media fraternity. More than 120 people were killed in 2010, protesters and hundreds injured, many of them teenagers. Most of them are teenagers. You know that the 2010 started with killing of an 11-year-old kid. An article, The Angry Housewives Setting Kashmir Ablaze, was published on BBC's news website on 16th August. And it quotes a woman protester saying, her name is Firdosa Farooq, whose son was killed a tear gas shell fired by Indian police. And she says, why should I not protest? Why should I not pick up a stone? I'm not doing this I'm doing this in the honor of my martyred son. I'm doing this for Azadi, freedom from subjugation and repression. The latest rounds of killings is nothing but the continuation of decades of repression of the Kashmiri people's struggle against national oppression. Since 1990, when around 100 unarmed demonstrators were shot by the Indian troops on Gurkadal, it's a bridge in Kashmir. Most of the people, other than in Kashmir, are not aware of this incident. And it was the day when Jagmohan was actually brought as the governor of the Kashmir for the first time, and he had this idea of putting the entire population under curfew. And people for the first time came in 1991, defying the curfew, and the Indian police fired indiscriminately on the procession. The official figures say that some 50 people were killed, but the unofficial figures say that some 250 people were killed. Now, I'll straight away come and, because I don't have that much of time, so I'll straight away come to this Afzal Guru's case, who was hanged a few days before in Tihar jail. Now this court used two terms, or in fact one single term, which said collective conscience, and somehow the trial court also said that it was because of the sentiments of India, to keep the sentiment, in keeping with the sentiments of India, he is to be hanged. Now, whose collective conscience are we talking about? You and I suppose, were not part of that collective conscience. Kashmir was not part of that collective conscience. Northeast was not part of that collective conscience. Then whose collective conscience are we talking about? And if you and I do not raise our voice against this injustice, then the day will not be far when we will have a collective dictatorship in this country. And I said collective dictatorship, what I meant was, I was 2 days before watching this interesting debate. You all should go and log on to www.ndtv.com and watch this debate, where this guy from Abhinavar openly said that this country is not meant for Muslims. We want a Hindu Rashtra, and by Hindu Rashtra he meant that he gave an example of Australian Prime Minister saying that Australia is basically a Christian country, and people who don't believe in Christian faith and Christian rules, they are free to leave the country. And he used the same example. And what struck to my mind there were these politicians across the spectrum who were sitting on this debate. Few of them from Congress, few of them from BJP, and one or two independent personalities. No one actually opposed his view. Somehow everyone was of the opinion that let's have an Hindu-Vita state. And that's why I say that you and I should raise this question, and we should not be silent, we should speak against this. And the various sense of India is secularism, and when I say Hindu-Vita, Hindu Rashtra, then secularism, I don't know what secularism are we talking about then. Extrajudicial killings, fake encounters, and disappearances have over the years become tools for the Indian state through which they silence the voices of Kashmiris. There are thousands of people who have been killed, and they are actually declared as disappeared persons, but recent reports, you must have also read those recent reports, which said that some 3,000 mass graves were found in certain parts of Kashmir, and the government is not actually taking a step where they can some suggestion was given that let's have a DNA test of these people so that we can identify whether they are these people who have disappeared over the years. But these things are not being done. And now, then the government will say that no, there are no cases of rapes in Kashmir, there are no cases of extrajudicial killings in Kashmir, there are no cases of mass disappearances in Kashmir, because they say that the Indian army is, it has its own procedure of investigating. Now, I don't know who is investigating. I have committed a crime and I am investigating it. I am a judge, I am a prosecutor myself. Come on, no Indian army man will come and say that no, we were actually involved in gang rape of 100 women in Pinan Poshpura. That's not going to be done, and no one will do that. And I'll just take a minute and point it out. Both India and Pakistan are actually going to an extent where Kashmir is not of any importance to both the nations. Kashmir has become a pride of nation for both these countries. In fact, our discourse, when we say Kashmir, everyone here will say, Agar Khargoz Baroe, Zami Asto, Hami Asto, Hami Asto, that this is the paradise on earth. The whole discourse, the paradise is not a Kashmiri discourse. It was Jahangir, a Mughal king, who brought this discourse. And even Kashmiris somehow internalized the discourse of outsiders. And we talk the same language what outsiders want to talk us about. And so I'm here actually winding up this whole, I had actually few many things to do, but the time does not permit me. And this Indian state is actually going into the footsteps of what colonial British was doing in when India was under their rule. So India, Israel, and America are now somehow becoming more colonial powers in the present day scenario. America is an exception to Israel and India because America is a world superpower, but both India and Israel are regional powers. So they are actually following the same tactics which government used to do during the freedom struggle of India. I'll tell you something why I use this word, because they are following the footsteps of which AFSPA is not something which government of India brought. AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, is a colonial act which government introduced it in India, and then the Indian government temporarily kind of introduced it in Northeast, but they have been over 60 years and now in Kashmir for last 2 decades. I wind up this presentation. Thank you.
Professor Sunita, now we have around 20 minutes.